Jeremy, you gotta make a part 2. You gotta make a part 2.
It's too much work to waste time. I don't
Well, since I'm now forced to make a part 2, I guess I shall. But seriously though, let's talk about that fucking yell. Calm the fuck down. It's a guy holding like a tin shield. He probably got it from fucking Walmart. He's a cosplayer. Just shoot him in the kneecap and go. God, so fucking bad. Ugh, I still like the character. Let's get this out of the way. The purpose of part 1 and this part 2 is only about one aspect that isn't true, or at least what I have my gripes with. When people say Payday 2 is P2W or Pay to Win, my problem is that it isn't Pay to Win. You can still win the game without DLC. Pay to Win would mean impossible to beat without buying the DLC. I'm not going to cover how OP sniper rifles are, and I am not going to cover other aspects that are relevant to the first and second episode. This is not a video series, which is now complete after this one. It's not a video series. This is not a two-parter series that is meant for an all-around argument. This was just meant for just like one thing. I did say you could use it for all other arguments if you want, but I don't think it'd be very good. Gotta watch that beginning or whatever fucking bullshit. However, bear in mind, I'm not mentioning them only because they are relevant to the issue I personally have. That doesn't mean that they aren't issues, just not issues relevant to my one video argument. Now my second video argument. Let's look at the definition of Pay to Win once again. Take it from Urban Dictionary. Games that let you buy better gear or allow you to make better items than everyone else at a faster rate, and then makes the game largely unbalanced, even for people who have skill in the game without paying. And then makes the game largely unbalanced even for people who have skill in the game without paying. Where's the largely unbalanced part of Payday 2? And how many times have you met someone who is leagues better than you with or without having bought the DLC? And vice versa. Yes, the game is easier due to the amount of DLC there is. However, that doesn't make it Pay to Win. It just makes the game easier. You can make the argument that it makes the game unbalanced, but not largely unbalanced. That's not to say you can't still be upset that there is a difference between buying the DLC and not. I just don't find it to be that large of a difference to be as big of an issue as everyone makes it out to be. Bear in mind, I still think you should point out that this is an issue before it becomes a bigger issue. Never once have I said you can't complain that there is problems with the game, just I have a problem with you saying that's Pay to Win when it's not. You're using the word incorrectly. Let me get this straight. I realize why everyone says Pay to Win. It's just an easier term to coin rather than continuously point out the actual flaws over and over. I mean, geez, 7 letters versus 2, maybe 3 sentences? It just annoys me on how it's being used is all. The first reaction that more than half the people will instantly think of when they see PTW, or Pay to Win, is, so the game's impossible to beat without paying extra? Or, so everyone's gonna be better than me even though I have more skill than them? If someone runs out into the open with a sniper rifle and a bat, I assure you they'll be the first to be in custody. Skilled players know not to do such thing. Hopefully they're also skilled enough to realize that you shouldn't play hero to go grab them if they're in the middle of a fucking crossfire. There's an easy argument here. What if the skilled player uses the DLC? Well, it'd probably only give them like a 6% increase in how well they do in the game, honestly. If all DLC used the same exact stats, it'd be pointless to bother with making the DLC. If they made it too weak, they'd be even more pointless. If they made it too strong, it'd be largely unbalanced, and therefore Pay to Win. What I think Overkill's thought process is behind the better stats is basically, you're paying money for extra content. We should probably make them worthwhile. That doesn't mean it's a good thought process, just what I think they're thinking is all. Also, that doesn't mean that's what they actually think. A lot of DLC doesn't mean the game's Pay to Win. I mention this only because it's a thought that everyone's got in the head. Let me explain. The first reaction to hearing Pay to Win and seeing all the DLC will involve this thought. There's so much DLC and if the game's Pay to Win, then that means I have to buy it all just to play the game. Also, I only mentioned this in the first video since there are people who were legit trying to use the amount of DLC as an argument towards the game being Pay to Win. No joke. And no, there was no mention of what the DLC actually was in those arguments. Keep in mind, these videos aren't meant to take on just one issue at hand. It's supposed to cover all arguments. I'm not sure why no one caught that. That's stupid. If I had to make a rough estimate, I'd say there's only like a 10% increase in experience and equipment gain. Here's my reasoning. In order to get attachments and such, you need to get them by luck. Unless we're talking Gauge Courier Pack, you can have your opinion on that. You get 3 cards to choose from. You get mask, custom mask stuff, and attachments. The more DLC that involves weapon attachments, the more likely it is to get those attachments in the card game. This is a problem with the game, but not a pay-to-win problem, just an algorithm problem. Make attachments hard to obtain is pretty much the only fix. Not that those attachments will make the game a cakewalk as most will auto-assume. You should criticize the game, its DLC, and overkill. However, you shouldn't be overly dickish about it. Not saying everyone is, that'd be a generalization. If we don't point out these problems and give criticism, then these problems will persist, and who knows what overkill will be like right now. Before we finish, I should point out where I agree with people. I agree the DLC is overpriced. I agree there's too much goddamn DLC. I agree there's a slight advantage towards buying the DLC. Go ahead and use the sniper rifle only on Death Wish. I'm sure they'll have only shields. I agree in a lot of aspects. Final thoughts. Remember, this isn't a video. Wait, what? Why did I put that down? Remember, this isn't a video. Well, now I've finished series, I suppose. That is meant for an all-around argument towards the DLC prices. It's only towards the annoying aspect of everyone calling the game pay to win just for ease of use, when it not only gives the wrong idea, but it also isn't even fully correct. I will not make a part 3 unless something interesting comes by. Therefore, if anyone wants to continue the series on their own, I bestow the permissions I don't have onto you. Also, bear in mind I exaggerate a lot of stuff, so if you get pissy at something I said, it's probably a joke, so, you know, just call me tits, bro. It's called a joke. Don't get fucking uppity.